A famous man once said, "We create our own demons." Who said that? I have no idea, but they were like really famous or something because now I'm quoting them. He said that, now I'm saying it, and it kind of relates to what I'm about to review. And just, well, I'm gonna start over. Let's track this from the beginning. 4 years ago in 2017, I was hyped for the movie Justice League. At the time, the DC Extended Universe wasn't the most well-received franchise. Most people were confused about Man of Steel. People didn't like Batman vs Superman. People hated Suicide Squad. And Wonder Woman was the only one people loved, but the third act was heavily criticized. But despite all the negativity, I was a huge fan of the DC Extended Universe. Well, I didn't like Suicide Squad, but that's besides the point. The point is, I loved these movies, and I understood what they were trying to do. People were expecting Superman to be like Christopher Reeves, all happy and hopeful, and Batman was expected to be Batman from the animated series or something. But Zack Snyder wanted to really explore and deconstruct these characters. What would happen if Superman and Batman were in the real world? How would people react? What would be the damage? How would it affect the heroes mentally? Superman wasn't happy or hopeful because if he was, he would be as bland as Captain Marvel. But Zack gave him humanity. He was given flaws. People criticized him, and Superman actually had doubts of whether or not he wanted to save people. Zack made an interesting approach to Superman, and he did the same with Batman. What would Batman be like if he was fighting crime for 20 years and he never got a break? He didn't accomplish anything. His mind would slowly deteriorate. These takes on the characters were interesting to me. It gave them depth and humanity. But people didn't like that. People wanted Superman to be hopeful and cheerful, and people wanted Batman to not kill. And that's why the DC Extended Universe was misunderstood. People were expecting a Marvel Cinematic Universe with solo films that led up to team-up films that were all happy and colorful, instead of something different with these superheroes that would lead to a 5-part saga. And people hated that this wasn't Marvel, and so it led to creating our own demon, the theatrical cut of Justice League. Now, at the time the movie was released, I actually liked the theatrical cut. I thought it was fun and satisfying, but as the years went by, the more I heard about what happened behind the scenes, my opinion on the movie has changed. The theatrical cut isn't as good as I thought it once was, and it was a butchered version of what Zack wanted to make. Zack has a vision for this movie, and it was deformed by a studio who wanted to compete with Marvel. People asked for a Marvel movie, and that's what we got. Be careful what you wish for, once said a famous person. So we had this butchered Frankenstein abomination of a film, and all hope seemed lost. The movie bombed, it wasn't successful, and we might never ever see a Justice League movie ever again. But then rumors of a Snyder Cut came along. Some people said it was a myth, some people said it was a longer version of the theatrical cut, but that didn't stop fans from wanting to see this version of the movie. And after years of fan campaigns and donating to charities, we finally got the original cut of Justice League, the intended vision of one man's movie, Zack Snyder's Justice League. The story is essentially the same plot as the 2017 one, but with added new content that makes the storyline not only better, but much more smoothly paced and more defined. There are more scenes that help better explain the characters' motivations, it better explains the world, and it keeps the story consistent with what was going on at the time. The movie doesn't rush into the action. The first hour builds up on the lore of the DC Extended Universe, and it takes its time to develop the characters. That's a good thing, and while it can be slow for some people, at least it has the courtesy to give the time to introduce these new characters. We see more of Aquaman, we see more of Flash, and Cyborg actually becomes a character. We know their names, their personalities, what their goals are. There's a scene in the movie where we see Cyborg's origins, and him helping people that wasn't in the theatrical cut. They literally cut characterization and a heartwarming moment from the theatrical cut. That is just cruel. There's also a scene that directly connects to Aquaman and expands on the Aquaman lore. There's also a scene where Aquaman and Diana bond over their ancient heritage, and in general, the team bonds and develops more, which was kinda rushed in the theatrical cut. But the biggest character change and growth is surprisingly Steppenwolf. Steppenwolf in the original movie didn't really have a motivation. There was some semblance of one, but otherwise he was just a bad guy who says mother a lot, who looked like Liam Neeson. In here though, Steppenwolf only says mother once, and it was a taunt against Wonder Woman, and he's actually given a motivation and even a personality. He's essentially an angry Jehovah's Witnesses who wants to return home and please his nephew Darkseid. You almost feel sympathetic for Steppenwolf. I can't believe I actually said that. Imagine making a huge mistake and you try desperately to make it right because your entire family disowns you. That's Steppenwolf's character in a nutshell. He wants redemption and he'll do anything to get it. He's much more expressive in this film and actually feels like he's a threat to the Justice League. I mean, technically speaking, he actually won, but that's a huge spoiler that I won't get into. You'll have to watch it for yourself. But the point I'm trying to make here is that Steppenwolf actually feels like a great villain in this movie. He has a motivation, he has a personality, and he actually kicks ass, and he's actually a threat. And that's what I love about this new version of Steppenwolf. He is not what he was in the theatrical cut. There's also other apocalyptians in the movie that help build the world that Steppenwolf came from. We see characters like Desaad and Darkseid himself. Speaking of them, they have a presence in this movie. Although they aren't the main villains, it's nice seeing them portrayed in a live-action movie for the very first time. Darkseid really feels like an ever-looming menace, similar to Thanos. Except at least with Thanos, he thought he was doing the right thing. But Darkseid is a cold, pure, evil entity who conquers worlds for the hell of it. Batman in this movie isn't a bumbling idiot pretending to be Tony Stark. This time, it feels like the man from BVS actively trying to redeem himself. And unlike the theatrical cut where Batman and Superman are all buddies, in this one, Batman isn't gay for Superman or acting like they were bros. Batman seems to respect Superman's boundaries, and later on, he buys the house back as a way to mend old wounds. Speaking of Superman in this movie doesn't waste time. He doesn't have the CGI mustache. This time, Superman realizes he's been given a second chance for a reason, and wastes no time to help the League after having remembered who he was and reunited with his family. Superman isn't as overpowered as he was in the theatrical cut. Remember how everyone complained that the League didn't need to be formed because Superman can just take care of everything? Although Superman in this cut still shows up to be a savior, Wonder Woman and Aquaman both take turns kicking Steppenwolf's ass, Superman helps out, Cyborg and Flash deal with the mother boxes, as Batman is on support and deals with parademons. This time, everyone is playing a part, and they are working together as a team. And that's what this movie does better than the theatrical cut. This cut of the movie is the team coming together. They have their differences, they come from different places, they are freaks. But when times are dark, when times feel like they are hopeless, when times of enemies shows up, at our darkest hour, the team works together and put their problems aside for the greater good. And that's what the Justice League is all about. Not a ripoff of Marvel, and certainly not a high-top logic of Batman does not kill. This is the team. The team actually bonds in this movie. The team actually gets to know each other. The team is the Justice League. The special effects of this movie are definitely much better than the theatrical cut, probably because they actually corrected the color and because they used the original model for Steppenwolf. He fits in the scenes much better than he did in the theatrical cut. Zack Snyder's Justice League, in my opinion at least, is a near masterpiece that combines art and film together, which is what Martin Scorsese was bitching about or something like that. A film about a team of outcasts saving the world from evil, a story already told, but told in a different style that some might enjoy. Lately, I've seen people going back and actually liking Batman vs Superman, or at least going to appreciate it. People are now wanting to see comic book movies in all kinds of styles, not just cookie-cutter Marvel style that everyone tries to copy but fail to understand why it works for Marvel. DC didn't need to bend to the knee to the fans who didn't get it. DC just needed to be themselves. So, what do I think of the Zack Snyder's Justice League? Well, I love this movie. It is the movie we should have gotten back in 2017, but hey, better late than never. At least now, we can finally do another hashtag, Restore the Snyderverse, because I really wanted to see more of this world. We could have gotten something great, but people were just too afraid to understand. But now that people do understand, let's make this guy's Snyderverse come true. So, the rating I'm going to give Zack Snyder's Justice League is 9 stars out of 10. I do have some problems with the Zack Snyder's Justice League. Like, for example, things can get a bit slow. I feel like you could have cut some of this out, but otherwise, this movie is a near masterpiece. And thank God for no more CGI mustaches.